All
You're the
right,
cleanest
guys,
person here.
good evening, good evening, good evening. We are super excited. And I first and foremost want to let you guys know happy 4th of July. It is Independence Day, and we are fighting for financial freedom, which is one of the reasons why at 8 p.m. at night we are on this call, even though it is a holiday. This call is going to be recorded, and I'm so excited for our host this evening. I got to tell you a little bit about her if you already don't know. This young lady has been with us for a little bit less than a month, I'm going to say. Came in really soaring in this business, very, very intentional. I mean, she's just doing a great job, only doing telesales. And she has wrote over, and from my understanding, over 12,000 in production in about less than 2 weeks. That is huge. And so this is why I've been telling her for the past few weeks, we got to get you on a call. People have to understand, what are you doing? What's your work ethic? Give us some role playing. How confident are you coming into this business very shortly from a field sales agent and transitioning to full-time telesales? Well, we all know we only work part-time, but knowing that she's jumping into this, taking a leap of faith, I just wanted to share this experience with you guys. So without further ado, Miss Karena Simon, I'm going to turn the call over to you, ma'am, and you can share screen at any point in time. And if you guys have any questions, please put in the chat box so that she can answer the questions accordingly. But this call is going to be recorded, so make sure that all your questions are in the chat box. Miss Karena, can you hear me, ma'am?
I can hear you well. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Awesome. Take us away.
All righty. So good evening, everyone. I haven't had the pleasure of connecting with everyone one-on-one. Some in sideline chats and group me and via text, but it's really great to share space and be here with you this evening. Sharnetta, again, thank you so much for that warm introduction. I was just going to share a little bit about myself outside of senior life, and then tie it all back together and jump straight into telesales. So as Sharnetta explained, I recently joined Senior Life in May of this year. After taking about a 4-year hiatus from the insurance industry, I have been a licensed agent since 2008. And if you can mute your phone for me, I appreciate it. I just was sharing that I've been a licensed agent since 2008. At the time, I was finishing college, waiting tables. I got connected with a wonderful agency owner who introduced me to the industry in that season of my life, and the rest was pretty much history. Not without, ups and downs, but I knew I had found a passion and also a great source of income that I plan to maintain over the years. And I will also, again, just briefly share that I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I've been living in New Orleans for about 4 years and do have plans of returning back home to Houston later this year. So that's just a little bit about me. And I'm really passionate about the product, the people, the culture here at Senior Life. I have just been wowed. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. A selling point for me just to even come on board was the fact that after I had researched and read and got acclimated with everything, I'm like, this is something I would present to my mother, my grandmother. I would help my own family with what we're offering. So I just think we have wonderful benefits here with Legacy Assurance. And I'm just happy to be a part of the team. So I will jump straight into it. I kind of have some notes here to help me stay on target. So I'll kick it off with I first want to talk about how to set yourself up for telesales success and how to be self-sufficient with the Leads the Way app. So you may have heard me mention this on another call, but I have it a little more streamlined today. So one, inside your app, you want to make sure all of your settings are up to date. All of your non-resident licenses are entered in there. Check your Slice app. And maybe if you're a newer agent like myself, for instance, I knew I was licensed in Louisiana, but I wasn't seeing it in Slice. So I reached out to make sure that that was added to Slice. So just to make sure you're, all the way set up. And then set your availability inside the Leads the Way app. I have mine set from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., even though I'm not taking live transfers at 2 in the morning. But I do have it set that wide. I will share, and I posted in the group last week after calling the home office, that they said their hours were Monday through Thursday. I think it was 9 to 8 for live transfers, and then Friday 9 to 6. I'm going to tell you just from personal experience, since I'm only doing live transfers, I've gotten live transfers at 9:30 at night, 9:50 at night. So maybe there's kind of an in-house standard hours of operations, but just from experience day to day, I will say 8 a.m. and I'm Central Time, by the way. 8 a.m. to about 9:30 p.m., it's fair game. So just be ready. And then if you're licensed on the West Coast, like I have a license in California, that's a plus because as the East Coast live transfers may be dying down around 8, 9 o'clock, that's when California tends to pick up because they are 2 hours behind me and then 3 hours behind you if you're Eastern Standard Time. So just make sure your availability is there, is set. And then also I've mentioned before, but whether you're using your iPad or iPhone, I'm using my iPhone, but unlock it during your set hours for telesales and change your settings in display to never lock. So I think most of us have some kind of feature on our phone or our iPad where if you don't touch it for 30 seconds, it's probably gonna lock on you. I take that off. So if I'm doing live transfers for 5 hours, that screen is wide open with the Leads the Way app open and up, ready for me to hit accept the minute something comes through. Because you do have to catch them, right? Because they're distributed to anyone licensed in that state taking live transfers. So just making sure you're set up for success in that way. Also, I'm a person who loves to have my ringer off. I hate dings and dongs all day, but when I'm on my intentional work time, I have my volume up, my ringer on, so I can also hear when the leads come through and I can accept them quickly that way as well. And then the last thing I'll mention as it relates to just setting yourself up for success is having your tracker handy, or if you have a notebook, I'm going to recommend the tracker because that's been, given to us, but track your activity. That's the main point. Everyone you talk to, anyone who hangs up or isn't interested or whatever you run into, because you're going to run into things the same way you would on the field, but just make sure that you're tracking that and being prepared to follow up with those people. So what I am going to do here is I thought I had it up already, but I would like to do some role play of kind of my script and how I go into telesales, and I will select someone to role play with me, and I'm going to share my screen as I do it. So I'm just logging in really quickly. Okay. I'll first ask, do I have any volunteers or do I need to pick? Marianne, hey, okay, I saw Marianne's hand first, so, okay. I'm going into telesales here. All righty, let me share my screen. All right, and guys, please let me know if I'm going too fast. I do speak fast, but I'm happy to slow it down, and we'll definitely do Q&A as well, so feel free to slow me down or speed me up. Can you see my screen, the application?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I will kick it off this way and then Marianne will jump right into it. So with live transfers, for those that haven't taken one yet, how I'm set up, I'll say that first, and then I'll go into kind of how it works or the flow of it. So I take live transfers sitting in my home office at a desk. I have 2 screens. I'm not saying that's required. I'm just a 2-screen lady. So that's what works for me. But I'm always sitting at my desk. I have my email account open because once you accept the live transfer from your phone or your iPad, whatever device you're using, once you hit accept on the Leads the Way app, it's going to notify you live transfer accepted, call coming soon. So the minute you hit accept on your device, you're sitting there waiting maybe all of 20 seconds for your phone to ring. Your phone ringing is the live ops customer service person calling you with that lead on the phone. So that's how that works. They're also going to email you that lead's name, phone number, and name, phone number, and home address. So you're going to get emailed the lead information as well. That's why I have my email open so I can see it there. Once my phone rings, I'm going to answer it, say hello. The individual, the rep, they will say, hey, they'll either ask you what your name is, or they'll just say, hey, I have Marianne Rose on the other line requesting information about coverage. I'm going to transfer them now. And you say, great, thank you. You'll hear a little click. and then the person is on the phone with you, and that live ops agent will say, hey, Marianne, I have Karena on the phone now. She's going to help you answer, help you with the questions you have. And then they drop off the call. I will also share before we jump into the role play that the inbound number that you see on your phone once you accept a live transfer, that is the lead's number. So I have a tendency to jot down the number as well, even before we start speaking, just so I have that number. It's coming via email too, but just in case, it's just habit, I jot it down. So if there's a disconnect or the call drops or anything happens, you do have the number because that's the number that was calling you. So that's a heads up there. All right. So we'll jump right into it. So Marianne, you've been transferred over to me, and I'll kick it off in this instance since it's a live transfer. Okay. So hey, Miss Marianne, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Thanks for asking.
Good. My pleasure. So my name's Karena. I'm a licensed agent here with Senior Life. Now, were you wanting this coverage for yourself or for a loved one?
Yeah, I was looking for myself, please.
Okay, perfect. Well, I can definitely help you with that. Let's see, just to make sure that I have your name spelled correctly, I have Miss Mary Ann. Is that Maryann?
Yes.
Okay, and then your last name is Rose?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And then just in case we did get disconnected, I want to make sure I have your phone number as 123-456-7890. Is that correct?
You got it.
Awesome. Okay. So Miss Marianne, what is your date of birth?
12/11/63.
12/11/63. Okay. And then I just want to confirm you are in Atlanta, Georgia. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, great. So Miss Marianne, I always like to get started just kind of by asking what prompted you to call in today? Are you looking for, what prompted you to call in today? Do you currently have coverage or are you looking for some final expense coverage?
Yeah, I already have life insurance. I'm just kind of checking prices around. Yeah. And I don't have final expense, but if you could kind of explain that, because I did watch the commercial. I'm just not quite sure about that savings part.
Sure, got you. So you currently have coverage, but you feel you may need a little bit more to make sure that your family and your loved ones don't have to take on that financial burden when you pass?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Well, my goal here is definitely to go over the savings, the discounts, and all of the benefits, and I can definitely help you with that. So I like to kick it off just by sharing with you, first and foremost, Miss Marianne, we don't do any medical exams whatsoever. So you don't have to worry about anybody coming by your house, taking your blood pressure, taking blood, or anything like that. I'm just going to ask you a few simple health questions to get you the best rate, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So, Miss Marianne, are you currently hospitalized or in a nursing facility?
No.
No? Okay. And have you been hospitalized 2 or more times in the past 10 years?
No.
Great. Okay. And then, Miss Marianne, have you ever been diagnosed with cancer or have you had a stroke?
No.
No? Okay. And then, do you smoke or use any form of tobacco?
I do not.
Great. I don't either. Okay. And, and in the past 10 years, have you used any form of tobacco or had a high blood pressure reading?
No.
No. Okay, great. And just to let you know, these aren't disqualifying questions. We will likely be able to get you the coverage you need, but of course, we just have to ask those health questions since we don't do medical exams. Okay. And then what's your height and weight, Miss Marianne?
I'm 5'1" and 143.
143 pounds. Okay.
Yeah.
And then are you currently taking any prescription medication?
No.
No. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. And then let me know this, Miss Marianne, have you been diagnosed or been seen by the doctor for anything like COPD, emphysema, any diagnosis of the kidney, heart, liver, any organ failures?
No.
No? Okay. Wonderful. So based on that, it does look like we can get you qualified for one of our best plans, and that would include immediate coverage. Of course, I can't make any promises, but it does look like I may be able to get you approved. So let me go over some of the features and benefits of the plan that you were kind of talking about at the beginning. But first, let me just ask you to get a better idea of how we can help you today. Have you given any thought to what your final wishes are, whether you wanted a cremation or burial?
Cremation.
Cremation, okay. And who's going to be in charge of that for you?
My sister.
Your sister? Okay. Would your
Y-
sister also be your beneficiary? So sometimes it's a
Yeah,
different person.
yeah,
Okay. She would be okay. So the reason I ask that is because the great news is your policy with us does come with a membership to our sister company called Legacy Assurance. And with Legacy Assurance, you're able to lock in the price of your funeral merchandise at a wholesale rate. We have over 250 caskets to choose from, burial vaults, and it has a 100-year warranty. And we also have headstones and monuments to choose from. And again, they're all locked in at wholesale rates. So your sister, your loved ones, they would be saving, right, a significant amount on those final expenses there. And then this is also where we can step in with Legacy Assurance and provide your loved one with assistance when it comes time to taking care of your final arrangements. So we can call the funeral home, negotiate everything, provide your sister with an advocate and someone who would help take that emotional burden off of her. Does that make sense?
yeah. But I'm not going to pick out a funeral home right now. Do I have to do that now?
No, 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 not at all. This is just a benefit that comes along with your policy for the life of your policy. So it's something that you can use at any time. We just want to make sure that we have those, that we give you those benefits and that you have access to them for when you need them. And
Oh,
with that in mind, I will also share, it's not just about the discount benefits that you can use or that your loved one can use once you transition. We also have living benefits with Legacy Assurance that you can take advantage of. So for instance, with Legacy Assurance, you also receive hearing discounts, prescription discounts, diabetic supply discounts, and 24/7 access to medical consultations, just to name a few. So there's a host of living benefits that you get to take advantage of while you're still here with us as well. Okay.
oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. And then as far as the policy itself goes, it is whole life. So you're guaranteed protection for the rest of your life. Your premium would be locked in, so you don't have to worry about your premium ever going up, and your benefits will never decrease. And then accidental coverage is automatically included. So God forbid, Miss Marianne, you were to pass away in an accident, your face amount would actually double. So for example, let's just say you took out a $5,000 policy and you passed away in an accident, the policy would pay your sister $10,000. So she would get a $10,000 fit in that example.
Oh,
And then,
okay.
yes, ma'am. And then you also qualify for immediate coverage. So there's no 2-year waiting period like most companies. As soon as you make your first premium payment, you're 100% covered from day one. So that's a great benefit as well. And then I will go over a few different options, and you can let me know what is the best fit for you, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so based on how you answered the health questions and your age, it does look like I can get you approved for, let me give me 1 second, my apologies. One moment, Miss Marianne. Okay.
Okay.
So based on the information that you shared with me, and you seem to be in great health, which is outstanding, it does look like I can get you approved for coverage anywhere between a $5,000 policy up to a $30,000 final expense policy. So I'm going to pull up some options for you. I like to start at around 5 or 7,000 in coverage, just to kind of go along with the average cost of a funeral these days. And I know you mentioned that you were wanting cremation, so a $5,000 policy I think might even be more than enough. But I'll start there with 5,000, and you'll let me know if you'd like me to go up or down. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So looks like a $5,000 in coverage, which would also be $10,000 in accidental coverage. That would be $24.05 a month.
Yeah, I was looking for like 15,000 because my sister might have to travel and then make other arrangements, so I can give extra money to her. And that I thought I understood that, like, final expense, does that pay out kind of quicker than the regular life insurance contracts?
Yes, it does. Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes. I love that you're up on your insurance education. Yes, it absolutely does. So with final expense, this would be paid out to your sister within 24 hours. Yes, she
Okay,
wouldn't have
yeah,
to wait the standard 4 to 6 weeks as she
yeah.
would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has to take a flight over here, so I
Okay.
would want, I would want her, I want to pay for that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So your focus is also, of course, covering the cost of cremation, but also having some money left over for your sister.
Yeah, right. Mhm.
I understand completely. So yeah, so with a $15,000 policy, which would also be 30,000 in accidental, that would just be $58.03 a month, including the legacy assurance benefits.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so we'll go with that option.
Okay.
Okay, and so all I'll need next is just your sister's first and last name, so we can get her added as your primary beneficiary.
Her name is Linda Collins.
Linda Collins, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then I'll let you know here too, as we get going, there's nothing left for you to do. I'm just going to ask you a few more follow-up questions. We're pretty
Okay.
much just going to close out the phone application, do a voice verification at the end or a voice recording at the end, and get this sent over to the home office as quickly as possible. So that way we can get your immediate coverage in place. Does that sound
Really?
good?
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about any paper applications or me sending anything. We can get you taken care of right now. So I have Miss Linda Collins as your sister. Would you like her to be your only primary beneficiary at
Yeah,
100%? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And what about a secondary beneficiary? We would
Uh,
list it as your estate unless you said otherwise.
no, I don't want to do that because it's a hassle.
Okay. Well,
Actually, a hassle. Yeah, for them to get the money.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. No,
uh,
I get it.
yeah. So, yeah, I can make my sister my secondary. My other sister,
Oh, your other
Christina.
sister. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And so all this would mean, I just like to be clear. So in the event, God forbid, your sister Linda were to precede you in passing,
hmm,
and then you passed away, the policy would pay the benefit to this second sister. Okay.
yeah, yeah. That's
Okay.
fine.
And what's her first and last name?
Christina.
Is that Christina?
Yes,
Okay. And then what's her last name?
Rollins.
Is that Rawlins?
No, it's Rollins.
Oh, okay. So glad I asked. Okay. All righty. And let's see here. Okay, so we have your 15,000 in coverage and 30,000 in accidental selected. And then let me also share a great benefit that you get at no additional cost to you. So you know how I was sharing with you about legacy assurance and that discount membership that you get with the policy? You're
Yeah.
also, yeah, so you're also able to share that benefit with up to 4 household members. It could be your 2 sisters, your a niece or nephew or another family member. And how it works is they are able to basically get the same legacy assurance membership that you'll be getting at no additional cost to them or you, all for the $4 a month that you'll be paying. That's included with your policy.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. So all I would need, if you'd like to add them, I highly encourage you do it. I mean, it's a great benefit to them. It has nothing to do with their life insurance coverage, or if they don't have life insurance, it's totally fine. It's just an opportunity for them to lock in on the same savings and benefits that you are with Legacy. So I just
Sure.
need their first and last names, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the same sisters. Yeah.
Okay,
Linda.
same system.
Yep. Linda and Christina.
Okay. We have Linda Collins and Christina Rollins.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then the legacy membership kit and the discount benefits, they'll all be mailed to you and you can kind of disperse them out as you see fit to your
Okay.
sisters. Yep. Awesome. So I just want to verify some information here. I have your first name as Miss Marianne Rose. Your date of birth is December 11th, 1963. Height is 5 feet 1 inch. Your weight is 143 pounds. And then Miss Marianne, what's a good mailing address for your policy to be sent to?
3221 West Swan Avenue.
Is West Swan 2 separate words?
Yes.
Okay. And then that's Atlanta, Georgia. And what's the zip code?
Well, I don't know what it is in Georgia. It might, yeah.
I can
Uh,
search it.
yeah. I
Okay.
know.
Okay. No worries there. Okay. And then I want to confirm I have your phone number as 123-456-7890. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And what's a good email address for you, Miss Marianne?
It's Marianne Rose 496 at Hotmail.
At hotmail.com. Okay. Marianne Rose 496 at hotmail.com.
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. And your social.
124-894-732.
Okay.
Thanks. I was just picking up stuff too.
I know. I was like, wait, how many digits before we get to
Yeah.
all the digits needed?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat that back to you. I have 124-894-734. Is that
That's
correct?
it. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. Second, let me go next with that. Okay. And then just for verification, we just like to have a verification question on file. What is your mother's maiden name?
I won't tell you about the real one, but I'll just say, yeah, it's like too hard. It's Smith.
Smith. Okay. Awesome. So we have Smith there. Okay, great. And then Miss Marianne, it's kind of a no-brainer, but I do have to ask, do you consent to receive phone calls or email communications from Senior Life in regards to your policy going forward?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a little information about the automatic premium loan provision. I'll explain it first, and then I'm going to ask you, do you want it? Yes or no? I like to start off by sharing that it's free, so maybe it'll be an easy yes, okay? But let me explain it to you. The automatic premium loan provision, what it is after your policy has accumulated enough cash value to make a monthly premium payment, from that point on, if you were to miss a payment, the cash value in your policy would automatically make that premium payment for you. So it's kind of like a cushion in the event, let's just say you happen to change your checking account information, or just there was some hiccup that particular month. Once your policy has enough cash value in it, it will pay that premium payment and you don't have to worry about your policy lapsing due to non-payment. And it's at no additional charge. So would you like me to add that to your policy?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. And then you mentioned earlier that you do have an existing life insurance policy. Can you share the name of the insurance company with me?
Yeah, New York Life.
New York Life. Okay. And do you have any other policies aside from that one?
No, other than that, than the work one. That's it.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And then just for compliance measures, I do have to ask these two follow-up questions once I'm notified of an existing policy. Will this policy cause this policy to be replaced, discontinued, or changed?
No,
Okay. And then are you using funds from this policy to pay the premium of your new policy?
no.
No. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. And then I'm just going to ask what I like to call the closing health questions. And then we should be in the clear and we'll move forward with wrapping up the call. I want to make sure I don't keep you too long on this 4th of July evening. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay, awesome. So we've already confirmed that you're not currently hospitalized. Are you unable to care for yourself, or have you been diagnosed as terminally ill, or do you expect to be admitted to a hospital for any reason?
No,
Okay, and then have you tested positive for or been diagnosed with HIV or AIDS?
no,
Okay, and then in the past 6 months, have you experienced any unexplained weight loss or weight gain?
no.
Okay, and in the past, but we already know you're a non-smoker, so I can go ahead and answer that as no for you.
Right.
In the past 5 years, have you been hospitalized 2 or more times?
No,
Nope, okay. And then in the past 5 years, have you been advised or recommended by a doctor to have any tests, treatment, surgery, or hospitalization that you haven't received? Or have you been advised to take any medications that you haven't yet taken?
no.
No, okay. And then I know I covered kind of high level about the COPD and any other challenges, but I do have to ask again, just in the past 5 years, have you had or been treated for or been prescribed medication for uncontrolled high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, paralysis, cancer, any heart, organ, or lung disease or disorder of the brain, any impairment, transplant, or chronic illness?
No.
No? Okay. And no disorder as well?
No.
Okay. And then lastly, in the past 5 years, have you used illegal drugs, been treated for drug or alcohol abuse, or been noted to excessively consume alcohol, or have you been arrested or incarcerated for any reason in the past 5 years?
No.
No? Okay. Great, great, great. So I figured as much based on how you answered the questions earlier on, but just to do it, a double take there, wanted to get that out of the way for you. And then Miss Marianne, I'll also need either the name of your physician or the name of your medical facility and the city and state.
Tampa General.
Can you say that one more time?
Tampa General.
Tampa General, okay. And then I'm going to assume, is that in Tampa, Florida?
Yes.
Okay. And then would you like to provide us with a phone number or address? It's not required, but we do have space to add that on file for your policy.
I don't have that handy. I'm sorry. Do I need it?
No, not at all. It's not required, just the name and city and state. Okay. And then you confirmed earlier you don't take any prescription medications, right?
No.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So Miss Marianne, the way we set this up is through our bank service plan. So once the application has been approved and the first payment is drafted, you'll get your policy in the mail within 7 to 10 business days. So when would you want all of your future payments due every month? At the beginning, middle, or end of the month?
My payment, you said?
Yes, ma'am. Your premium payment.
I don't know, like at the middle of the month, that's fine.
The middle of the month? Okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to confirm, it would be you paying for your policy, or will it be someone else paying for your policy, paying your premium for your policy?
It's gonna be me. Do I need to pay for it right now?
No, that's a great question. So another great benefit that we have is what we're doing now with just the phone application is we're getting you set up for that immediate coverage and sending your application to the home office for review and approval. You get to you get to pick the first date that you would like your premium drafted. So what day would you like your first payment drafted?
On the 15th.
On the 15th of the month? Okay.
Yeah.
So the first payment will be drafted on July 15th. Oh, 1 second there. We actually will need to pick a business day. We can't pick a weekend. So will the 14th work or the 17th of July?
Yeah, that's fine. The 14th's fine.
The 14th is fine?
Yeah.
So, okay. So your first premium will be drafted on the 14th. And then what day of the month beyond July would you like your premiums drafted?
Can it be the 15th?
Sure, we can select the 15th of each month.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. And then I just need your address one more time, your mailing address.
Yeah, 3221 West Swan Avenue.
Atlanta, Georgia. And I have your phone number as 404-345-6789.
Yep.
And can you confirm your email address for me one more time?
Yep. Marianne Rose 496 at Hotmail.
Awesome. Okay. And then the last thing I'll need from you, Miss Marianne, is just the name of your banking institution and the routing and account number.
Yeah, but you're not going to take out a payment today, are you?
No, absolutely not. You selected July 14th as your first date, your first payment date. So what we're doing is just taking down this information what we're doing now is just taking down your information and submitting that application. So that way on July 14th, once you're approved, your immediate coverage is in place when that premium is drafted. So this locks in your coverage, setting it up today.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, and the name of your banking institution?
Truist.
Truist Bank, okay. And then your routing number?
78. I don't know the real one.
Okay, and I'll actually throw something in there that I get on calls with people. So sometimes either, of course, yes, you're going to run into people who don't have their checkbook handy. or they're at a friend's house and they're calling in, but also people will be at home with their information, but there are some people who don't know what their routing number is or where to find it. So I'll always say, hey, do you have your checkbook handy? And if they do, I'll say, look in the bottom left hand side of the check, that's going to be your routing number. If you can read those numbers to me, and then we'll go from there. So in this example, let's just say that's what I did. I guided you to your routing number on the check, and you provided me with that. And then your account number, Miss Marianne?
1248796.
Okay, I'm actually going to put a real one for the purpose of example.
It won't let you go past it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just to confirm, is this a checking or a savings account, Miss Marianne?
It's a checking account.
Checking account, okay. All right, so I just want to recap again. I have your routing number as 111-000-614 with Truist Bank, and your account number is 1248794.
Yes.
And we are wonderful. And we are setting this up for your first premium to be drafted on July 14th and not a day sooner. And then your billing date each month thereafter will be on the 15th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, and so the last thing we need to do here is just get a quick voice verification. This is where I have to read through the application and ask you to verify everything that we talked about just by saying yes or no. I'm also going to ask some health questions on the recording, and you're just going to verify them as yes or no. And just a heads up, make sure that your responses are the same responses that you provided me previously. Otherwise, it will make me start the recording over again, okay?
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll also share with you really quickly before I start the recording. I know we talked about your coverage being, I forgot the amount already, but I'll make something up. I know we talked about your coverage is $55.08 a month, and that includes the Legacy Assurance membership. So on the recording, you're going to hear me say $51.08 a month, and then we're going to do a separate recording for your Legacy Assurance benefits for the $4, okay? So just so you're not caught off guard if you hear me say $51, okay?
Oh, sure.
Okay, awesome. And then I move forward with the recording, which I'm not going to do because I think if I do that, it will send something. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, if you're live, yeah.
Yeah. So
like,
I will say that again.
They'll be like, what's this?
Right, exactly.
Oh, nothing matches, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So that's kind of the gist. I mean, of course, it flows different with different people, and we go at different paces, or I'll have to, respond to different objections, and I don't mind sharing some of the objections I get. One of the biggest things, though, that just while it's coming to mind, one of the biggest things I do want to go back to is with the payer information. Again, sometimes people will, and Marianne, thank you for doing that. You will get people who will stress like, well, I can't pay today. And sometimes people will enter the call like that. Like after you say, hey, I'm Karena, I'm a licensed agent, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, great. Yeah, I want some information, but I can't pay today. I'll say, great, no worries. Yeah, my goal here today with you is just to get you the information that you called in for. There's no requirement to pay today, because there's not, and that's the truth. Once we get to the close and once we select the coverage option that works best for them, then we jump into the bank service plan and how that works. And I like to explain it in a way, I kind of rephrase it every time I talk about it. It just depends on the vibe with the person, but I like to explain it as like a benefit or a perk that comes with being a policyholder with Senior Life. You get to choose your draft date, and we can work with you, and we're flexible. So I like to position it like that versus, you have to make a decision right now and pay right now, or you're going to lose this opportunity, just depending on the person's circumstances. So any questions before I go into my next mini segment? And let me stop sharing the screen so I can see everybody.
Yeah, so Janice is asking, what do you do with normal objections? Like, I have to think about it. This is too high for my budget. I got to talk to my kids about this.
Got it. Yeah, I can answer some of those. Oh, here we go. I see the chat now. So let's start with, I got to talk to my kids about it. I just had that 2 days, yesterday or day before yesterday. So if someone says I got to talk to my kids about it, I'll say, great, I definitely understand. And I'll first ask, are your kids there with you right now? And I'll say it exactly how I say it. So let's just say someone says, I need to talk to my son about it. I'll say, great, is your son there with you right now? I'd be happy to review this information with him to make sure, both of you are really comfortable with this coverage going forward. So, and then sometimes they are there, sometimes they're not. And then I just start probing to kind of keep them on the phone longer, to also help them get confidence in their decision or in their power and independence of making a decision without being too forceful. Because on a personal level, I get it. I review a lot of things that come to my grandmother. So I get the objection 100%. And I would prefer her talk it over with me. So I do understand it on a human level. But I'll basically just kind of start probing and I'll say, so would your son, just following back up, okay, so would your son be the person who would be handling your final arrangements? Is that why you want them involved in this process? And I just kind of go from there. And then if we kind of start hitting a brick wall, probably one of the last things I'll say, or one of the options I'll throw out there is, well, look, you don't have to make an immediate decision today. What we can do is go ahead and lock in this coverage, this immediate coverage, and move forward with a phone application. And then if you'd like, you can give me your son's phone number and I'm happy to call and discuss this with him as well and tell him all about legacy assurance and how he can benefit from those benefits as well. Like something to that effect, I'll kind of spin it. And after I've exhausted, all things that one could say, then, it is what it is.
Yeah, you would go into that 30-day, well, you know what, you have a 30-day free look. I don't say this to everybody. You have that option to do that. So once you receive your policy in the mail, then you can go over with your son, we can do a 3-way call and then and go over the features of the policy at that point too. Well,
yes, that's great. That is great. So that's one. And then let me scroll back up to the other objections. I have to think about it. Sure. And that's common. I have to think about it as, okay, we haven't either built enough rapport or there's a lack of trust or something, because I've gone over what I feel, right, is enough or what others have deemed enough who have chosen to move forward. So I kind of take it as a challenge to make sure that I am providing more information for them to be confident in their decision, and not just general information, but maybe I'll dive into legacy a little more, or I'll ask them if they say they have to think about it and they already have coverage. I'll give you a prime example. I had I have to think about it person that I turned around and wrote the policy on. They already had a policy that they had just gotten with another company a few months earlier, but they were in the middle of a 2-year waiting period. And so sometimes in the beginning, I'll probe a little bit depending on the rapport I'm building. They had already told me that. So when they said they have to think about it, I just kind of leveled with them. And I said, well, I started off with, is there anything that I haven't covered, or is there any additional information I can provide? Just kind of build and continue in that rapport. But I like to take charge of the call and I'll say, hey, Miss Marianne, I understand that you have, existing coverage in this real example. I understand you have existing coverage and you want to think about this policy or this coverage. I said, but let me ask you something. You shared with me earlier that you're in the middle of your 2-year waiting period. So right now, that coverage really isn't benefiting you. And I understand you logged in at, all the great benefits you told me about. But let me ask you something. If you were to pass away tomorrow, or if you were to pass away in the next 6 months, who would pay for your final expenses? Would that policy cover your final expenses? I know the answer is going to be no, because we've already talked about it. And then I'll tie it back to this, with this final expense protection and the legacy assurance benefits, you're able to lock in immediate coverage. So let's just say you set up your first premium payment to be tomorrow or next week. From that point on, you have immediate coverage and you're immediately relieving your family of the burden of covering your final expenses. So I'll kind of pivot it like that, depending on what we've already talked about when they say I have to think about it. This is too high for my budget. I get that a lot and have tended to close more often than not with that. If someone says it's too high for my budget, I will say it depends on where we've started. I like to start at 5 or 7,000, again, depending on information I've collected, because I'm very big on building rapport. I feel like I didn't build as much rapport on this practice call with you, Marianne, because I just want to get through it, but I really engage with the people that I'm talking to by phone. So if we've started at 5 or 7,000 in coverage, I'll say, sure, well, we want to make sure that we select something that, is sustainable and that's a good fit for your budget. Or I'll even ask, because sometimes they'll allude to it, Miss Marianne, are you currently on fixed income? And I only ask that because most of the people that we help are on fixed income. So I want to make sure that I provide you with an option that works within your budget, and then I'll go down to maybe 3,000 in coverage or 4,000. Which this hasn't happened often, maybe twice, if it's someone where they have a lot of health challenges, guaranteed issue type of thing. I just spoke with a gentleman on Monday, and he just was like, I just want a $2,000 policy. And it would have been like $30 or something like that, $30 and some change. And he was like, that's too much. Like, I'm struggling. And he said, I already went $3 over my budget, last month, et cetera. So from there, we started at 2,000. I kind of position it to him as, how important is this to you, and what are some things that we can move around? Like, not to become their financial advisor, but just to reiterate the importance of having something is better than nothing, which he agreed. And I shared, because he wanted a cremation, I shared with him in this example, I said, Mr. John Doe, I know how important it is for you that you leave something behind for your son, and I know you want to be cremated. I said, depending on where you live, the average cost of a cremation, I said, can be anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000. I say that because from personal experience, having to cremate a loved one, that's what I've paid out of pocket. Depending on where you live, you might think 1,500 is absurd, but in my world, it's not. So I say 1,500 to 3,000. I just tied it back into that. And I said, do you think you'd be able to manage $25.08 for a $1,500 policy? 3,000 in accidental. And that would just, be enough to cover your cremation. And your son would also have those legacy assurance benefits. So he would get a discount on the earn, et cetera, right? And we were able to move forward. So that's just kind of an example there. I think I covered all three. I want to stay on track. Yep, I have to think about it. This is too high. And just wondering, how many states are you licensed in for live transfers? Great question. Last I counted, where's my phone? Last I counted was 12. I will call them out from the app just for full transparency. Let me pull it up really quickly. Okay. So currently in my Leads the Way app, I have Georgia. Well, let me start with this. Texas is my home state, so that's one. And then I have Georgia, Maryland, Ohio, South Carolina, Virginia, Alabama, California, Florida, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I'm not going to say that's required. I think everyone would agree, right? Start with what you have, where you have. I will say that I did inquire early on about the prominent states where, there's data to support a large majority of live transfers, or just where we advertise, right? And so I wanted to make sure that I targeted those states. And as of now, this could change and will continue to evolve. I will say as of now, the majority of my written business has been, I get calls from all those states, but the majority of it has been Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Maryland, and Virginia, if I haven't said that already, and a sprinkle of California. So you're welcome, Brandon. Okay, so I'm going to jump into just the last little segment I have here. I want to be mindful of time, and I'll answer any more questions that come up. I always have this disclaimer. I'm just sharing what has worked for me thus far. Please feel free to tweak, make it your own. You'll hear me say this repeatedly. I'm a lifelong learner. I never feel like I know too much. I'm always seeking to learn, take nuggets, gems from other agents and anyone else, right? So this is just what's been working for me. let's see here. So some advice that I just want to share with you all is, one, be intentional about your day. I can't stress that enough. Set the time that you plan to take live transfers and commit to it. I'm a huge proponent and believer of, if you cannot keep your own promises to yourself, it is going to be very difficult to excel and make progress in so many areas of your life, no matter what it is. So honor your commitments to yourself. If you say, Friday, I'm doing live transfers from 12 to 4, or whatever day it is that you're doing it, do it from 12 to 4. Of course, you want to plan, prepare for it, depending on your lifestyle, circumstance, children, etc. But just be intentional, set the time, commit to it, eliminate all distractions. Like I say, PPE, and I'm not talking about medical equipment, but plan, prepare, and execute. That's what I say. And then I know there's a forever popular phrase, right? A smile and dial, right? If you're working in the field, which is great. I love it. I've done it. For telesales or live transfers, I like to say smile and accept. So it doesn't sound as catchy, but that's what you're doing essentially. You're accepting live transfers and maintaining a pleasant voice and disposition, because people can really feel that through the phone. Treat each new live transfer like it's the first person you've talked to all day, no matter what happened with the last person you just spoke with. I will give you a real example. Anna, I don't know if she's on the call tonight, but I launched a live Zoom link for her to listen to me take on a couple of live transfer calls. And one of the people that was transferred over was a gentleman. Let's just say he was confused. He got mixed up maybe with what he was watching, but he was looking for some other type of cover. It wasn't life insurance. It wasn't Medicare. I think it was like I'm going to take a guess. It was like hospital indemnity. He was talking so fast. He came on the phone really aggressive, really abrasive, was talking a mile a minute. I mean, literally this lasted 1 minute. You couldn't get a word in to even try to reroute it, right? I let him know, right? I kind of tried to regulate and take control of the conversation. And he just went into all of his health issues. And once he realized it was life insurance, he was like, verbatim, well, I'm half dead anyway. I don't need this. Click. Yeah. After listing all of his health issues. These are everyday people. People are going to come with all types of attitudes and dispositions. It's really no different than being in the field, right? Some people you meet with a smile. Some people you meet with a frown. I've met people with a gun, right? They forgot we had an appointment set. This is like 12 years ago. So we can have those funny conversations for another day. But my point is, it's the same idea on the phone. You're just on the phone, right? So the reason why I use that as an example, no, that's not often. No, that's not even a drop in the bucket, percentage of the number of pleasant people or open-minded, receptive people I talk to. But I got that. So he hung up in my face, and Anna was on the call. She's like, wow. I said, yep, the next live transfer that came through, accept, transferred. Hey, I'm Karena. How you doing today? Like, keeping that same attitude up and not letting anything knock you off kilt. It can be challenging, but I just keep a positive mindset and stay focused on the goal. Keep the main thing the main thing. Last 3 bullets I have, and I'll just open it up. I kind of already alluded to it, but take control of the call, but follow their pace. That's just a personal mantra I have. Take control, but follow their pace. And what I mean by follow their pace is more so the pace at which they're speaking and the pace at which they're responding. You don't want to necessarily go too fast. So like, I talk fast. Sometimes I'll have to, once we get into the hello, how you doing? And I kind of get their tone, or depending on where they're from and how they speak, their cadence, I just follow that same cadence. Prime example, and this isn't a stereotype, everyone is different no matter where you live, but when I tend to get calls from individuals in Alabama, they're speaking at maybe a slower cadence. When I talk to, thus far, every person I've talked to in Pennsylvania, it's a little more like, and so I just follow that cadence without letting them rush you or, try to make you feel like get to the point, but still take control. Also embrace objections as an opportunity to educate and inform, because you are the expert. right? If you weren't, you wouldn't be in front of them, right? Whether it be in the field or on the phone, you are the expert. So just embrace the objections. They're going to come. We give objections as consumers, so we're going to receive them in this industry, right? No one is above an objection. And then lastly, again, just track your activity and follow up. I had posted earlier in the week last week, I think it was, just reiterating something Sharnetta had said in a previous team call, but the fruit is really in the follow-up. I can think of 5 different individuals where the close and we wrote the business based on me following up with them. Because they didn't have their checkbook handy. One lady was playing poker, having poker night at her sister's house. She saw the commercial, she called in. We did the phone application, got to the payer information. Verbatim, she says, "Girl, I'm playing poker and drinking. I'm not going to be home till 10 o'clock tonight. Can we get on the phone tomorrow?" And I mean, she was so sweet, so funny, older lady. I said, yeah, scheduled a time. I called her the next morning as planned. She didn't answer. This was a Friday night. Saturday morning, 10 or 11, whatever it was, I called her. She didn't answer. I accepted a live transfer, closed that live transfer, wrote the business. The minute I hung up with the live transfer I accepted, she was calling me back, saying she slept in from drinking the night before, having a good time, and we finished the application. So please follow up and don't consider it a wash if you don't write the policy live on the call. But you will more often than you won't, at least in my experience thus far. So with that, I'll open it up. I will hush. Sharnetta, if I need to turn it back over to you, let me know, but I'm here to answer any questions. Oh, I see in the chat here. Okay, just wondering how, okay, we already talked about the states. Is there a script used? So yeah, there is an awesome script. I think it's even more full and colorful than kind of what I've been using, but there's an awesome script provided by Sharnetta and Josh. And I do pull from that at times as well. I'll have that open. So yes, to answer your question, yes, there is. And then Janice asked, how do you pay for live transfers, debit card, personal credit card, or business credit card? I love that question. I pay for live, I believe, one, in leveraging credit. I just come from that background, that space. I teach a whole course on how to build and leverage business credit. That's a separate deal. But I'm a big advocate of that. So I leverage my business credit. I personally use an Amex that I have. It doesn't have to be an Amex. If you have a personal credit card or a business credit card with a nice limit, I just would leverage that. And that way you're not mixing it in with your personal, bills or however you're managing your finances with your debit card. So I will share in the first 2 weeks of June, which was my first month, just, re-entering the space and taking on live transfers, I made my money back as it relates to like reactivating non-resident licenses and my live transfer costs. I made that back, what I had spent in the first 2 weeks, in the first 2 weeks. But I also was consistent. I was diligent. I was dedicated. I was intentional. I didn't give up on the one Wednesday I had a wash and took 7 live transfers. And that day it just wasn't, it wasn't popping that day. But that happens in the field, right? But if I would have quit thinking about the money I spent, I still have 30 days. You have a credit card billing cycle if you're leveraging your credit. So just stay at it. So that's what I would recommend if you have business credit, but if not, a personal credit card, and just, of course, using it responsibly and telling yourself kind of what you're willing to go up to, whether it's, $1,000 or $1,500, et cetera. So I hope that answers that. And then thank you about the role play. Also, how do you keep track of your leads? Do you have CRM or content? That's a great question. So I am a huge CRM advocate. From an existing business that I have, I use a CRM. I don't feel I'm yet at a space where I need to invest in one yet, as I've just come back into insurance. So I'm not against them. I think they are necessary once you have a certain volume, but just currently, I just have spreadsheets and I use Dropbox. So I'm an Excel nerd, a spreadsheet nerd, and I use Dropbox to save that information. But no, I don't have a CRM at the moment. Is that all? That's all I see in the chat. So any other questions, feel free to unmute. I'm happy to answer.
I have a question
Okay.
and a comment. So I think this was
Okay.
very thorough. I want to say, we appreciate you taking time on your 4th of July to really just stay focused on your business and teach others who are willing to follow in your footsteps. But my question is, what is your goal for this month, and how important it is, as you're saying, to track your business, to make sure you're intentional, et cetera, et cetera. And this is just me just going off the wall with you.
Yeah.
What is your personal goal for this month, and how is important it is to set those goals? Because, every month we say, hey, post your goals. Post your goals before the beginning of the month. And some just really just don't believe in posting it. And we always say that no one can never hit a target that they cannot see.
For
So
sure.
I know that you're super intentional. You told me what your goals are personally. We sat down and had a 90-day goal plan, but can you just tell, to one, what is your goal? And two, how is it important to have that 90-day goal plan in effect immediately?
Yeah, great question. I'm happy to answer. I'm going to take it back a second, Sharnetta, and share that in May, and I know I sent it to Sharnetta so she knows, but on May 23rd, I wrote out my first month re-entering the industry, well, not even the industry, but just re-entering and niching down mainly, and doing only live transfers. I wanted to write 12,000 in business, wrote it down, made it plain, and I said, I'm only doing telesales. I don't care if the first 2 to 3 weeks are looking grim. I'm just going to do telesales for 30 days, live transfers for 30 days and see, what comes of it. Or within 30 days. And I reached that goal. And so going forward for the month of July, just knowing that there will be one particular week that I am unable to work this month, I've set my goal at 10,000 in personal production. I am more focused on agency building. So I do have some goals there. I'd like to bring on maybe 3 to 5 agents in the month of July. Excuse me, I was going to say June again. So that's a personal goal of mine as well for this month. And then my other goals are non-insurance related. But again, I can't stress enough, just like Sharnetta was saying, write it down, make it plain from your mind to your hand to your pen to that paper. It makes a world of difference to realize those goals that are on paper. You can do it.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that. Does anybody else have anything else that they want to ask before we go on and end this call? I think you have someone that wrote something in the chat box.
Oh, sure. What's your live transfer call schedule again? Oh, got you. So again, because I have a life, right, and some other responsibilities, as I know we all do. I say that jokingly. I tend to take live transfers on for sure a minimum of 3 days a week. If I can do 4, I will, but I set that intention at the top of the week. So Mondays, Thursday, Friday, and I'm loving Saturday. It's something about Saturday so far for me that I'm loving. I don't know what it is. This last Saturday, I talked to 3 people and wrote all 3 policies. The weekend before that, like same thing, talked to 2 people, wrote 2. So but weekdays, Monday, Thursday, Friday, and I've shared before, I'm more of an afternoon into the evening person based on my morning commitments. So if I can, I will hop on in the morning, but usually it's going to be about 2 p.m. to 8 that I'm taking live transfers very consistently.
I love that you answered that question. And you specified on Saturdays, because I tell people the most important day of the week is Saturday. And a lot of families or people say, you know what, that's my family time. I don't want to work on a Saturday. But in my experience and in seeing your own experience as well, you can write 2 or 3 times the amount of policies you write in a day, just in one day on that Saturday. And every single week for the past 3 weeks, you have been the weekend warrior, the weekend hero that has been writing 2 or 3 policies just on the Saturday alone. Where it might take you 1 or 2, 3 days to write 3 policies, being consistent ordering leads. You just had a huge ratio of ordering 3 leads or buying live transfer 3 leads and selling to all of them all on that Saturday. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because like I said, a lot of agents say, I don't want to take that day, and everyone typically works part-time. Everyone does. Everyone works about 3 days a week. So why not incorporate even just 2 Saturdays out of the month in order to dedicate yourself to your business and work from home and doing it? you're still
I
spending time with
highly
your family.
recommend it. Yeah,
Exactly. You know,
I
so
do.
thank you. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
saying that.
No, no, thank you. And I will share this little caveat about Saturdays. Again, I know different strokes for different folks and our lifestyles, everyone's lifestyle is different, but I will use even this Saturday, this past one as an example. I needed to go to Ross. I have some travel coming up. So I was going to Ross, Target. I was like doing all the running around, but I started it at 8:30 this morning. I said 8:30 to 12. I'm shopping, I'm running around, I'm preparing for my Thursday flight. And 12:30 to, I think I did 12:30 to 3:30. I said, I'm going to do live transfers for 3 hours on Saturday. So even if you're not committing, your full Saturday, I think the Saturday before that, though, I did. But even just saying 12 to 4 or 11 to 2 or 11 to 3, I'm going to take live transfers. You're going to talk to at least 2 people. And this past Saturday, I was able to talk to 3 in a 3.5 hour span. So it doesn't have to be just for those who, want to enjoy your Saturday, you still can. But of course, there is an element of sacrifice and prioritization, especially if you're just trying to build, trying to grow, trying to increase your income. Something is going to have to be put to the side for a moment. And that may be a little bit of early Saturday fun, right? Just for a temporary period of time. So that's just my suggestion.
All right, guys, this is huge. As we know, the fireworks is coming down now. They're really throwing these fireworks out here. But it's definitely a pleasure to have you on the call this evening. For those who don't know, she is actually building, like as she stated before, and she's looking to help build telesales agents as well. I will be definitely helping her out with that in this process within the next 3 months. I will say your goal of 3 to 4 agents is quite small, because we're definitely planning on giving you like about 10 agents, because you're remarkable. You're already coming in, you have a great story, and we always say there's not a testimony without having a test. And I think that you eliminate those tests because you're so laser focused on what your goal is and building your home from the ground up, like you discussed with me over the weekend. I think that's so huge. So it gives you a big enough why. So I think it was a phenomenal call. Does anybody else have any questions before we go on and let her go? And like I said, once again, I appreciate you taking time on the 4th of July, not just to fight for independence, but financial freedom.
Thank you so much, Sharnette. I really appreciate you and Josh, and your mentorship and leadership and encouragement has been really helpful. I appreciate both of you.
You're more than welcome. All right. Well, if you want to end us off with a quote, because I know that everyone's ready to see those fireworks, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm just going to look at the sign I have in my office. It's nothing too deep today. I can go real deep, but we'll save that for another day. But I just love create the life you want. You have the power. Create the life you want. Yeah, it's your paintbrush and your canvas.
Well, there you guys go, ladies and gentlemen. Create the life you want. It's your paintbrush and it's your canvas. Let's get out there and make it happen tomorrow. You guys enjoy your evening. Once again, thank you, Karena, for taking some time out, and all you guys who have joined the call. If you guys have any other questions, you'll be seeing her on a call probably in the next couple of weeks as she gets off vacation.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Karena. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you all. Good night.
Thanks, Karena. Good night.
Bye, Brittany.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.